So now I'm talking to Amalia from the big Israeli headquartered pharmaceutical company, Teva. So Amalia, thank you for joining us. You've been doing some really interesting work around helping patients with multi-chronic conditions. Tell us a little bit about what you think makes this program so important, you're most proud of.
So thanks for having me. The first thing that I want to say is that it gave us amazing insight into the importance of looking at patients holistically. The second thing is that it gave us a very important way to understand the challenge of health systems and the importance of integrated care, which is at the heart of the challenges of all health systems around the world. The second thing is that it really taught us how diverse our portfolio is. So we do our business on a day-to-day basis, not realizing how much we impact patients and how many chronic diseases our medicines help cure or address or help patients. And the fourth thing that I think makes me very proud is that we managed to bring a fairly new topic to the global health agenda. And we saw a lot of excitement of all stakeholders around this topic.
And I'm assuming that as we grow older, there is a greater likelihood that we will have more different conditions. So therefore, whilst what you are doing will help anybody who has a number of different chronic conditions, but it's more likely to help people who are in later life.
So it's a very interesting question, because one of our learnings is you are absolutely right. The number of chronic conditions and the complications clearly grows with age. However, what is fascinating is that 50% in the US, 50% for instance of patients with multiple chronic conditions have it already when they're at 35 years old. We've also learned that there are a lot of 18 and above years old people with multiple chronic conditions.
And I'm assuming this has a huge interlinkage with wealth and incomes, and so actually improving quality of access to healthcare is a critical part of improving equalities and improving inclusion economically and socially as well.
Absolutely. So we are partners of Mount Sinai, and we are working with them specifically in a clinic which is called Peak Health. It's in East Harlem. And one of the things that we've learned from the basic research, the initial research that we did, is that there is an association in terms of the burden of multiple chronic conditions with socioeconomic status. But what we've also learned from our partners at Mount Sinai, that within those populations, the burden on the individual and on healthcare can be I'll just give you the number. In Mount Sinai, about 80% of their expenses in those clinics, in those areas, incurred by 5% of the population. All of them have multiple chronic conditions, and they are at the bottom of the social economic strata.
So this is absolutely critical part of inclusion and inclusive growth. So where do you hope to take this Teva initiative in terms of multi-chronic conditions in the future?
So we initially did some research to better understand the problem and what's really happening, what kind of conditions cluster together, and what are the challenges to patients and health systems. What we're doing now is that our partners at Mount Sinai introduced a peer-to-peer behavioral change program for patients to help patients and for healthcare providers to help other care providers, with the objective of ensuring patients, especially in those lower status, poorer parts of society can self-manage their own conditions. And our hope, currently the program is piloted in New York, in Harlem. Mount Sinai is about to start the same program with adaptation in Ghana. And once we see if it worked and we do evaluation, we really hope that we can scale it. And we want to see if we can offer a model that others can take and adapt. And our idea is that it will be open and anybody could use that model.
That is fantastic. And that potential of peer-to-peer counselling and mentoring and reinforcing of positive messages is so important. Now, if other companies do want to take up the Teva and Mount Sinai Hospital experience and program, what would be the key advice that you would give to others?
So the first thing that I want to say, we learned a lot from others and we are still learning. I think the first advice would be identify an issue that at the sweet spot of who you are as a company, what the stakeholders expect of you as a company, and what is a challenge or an unmet need that you can indeed make a difference and play a role. The second is take the time to learn the topic that you want to address in a serious way. We had 2 peer-reviewed publications that have been approved. So for us, demonstrating that we do it right in a robust way, almost scientific way, was extremely important. And the third is make sure that you engage stakeholders in your rally to get the program recognized, because this way you can improve it, you can learn, and you can create a movement. And our hope is that this will become a movement, and I think, yeah, this is what I would say.
Something really practical, important advice there about linking it back to business purpose, back to business case. Amalia, that's super. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.